Hallihallo und herzlich willkommen zu einer Reaction. Zum ersten Mal in meinem Leben habe ich eine Reaction in einem Stream gemacht und das jetzt auf YouTube raushauen. Mal gucken. Und zwar habe ich mir das Spiffing Brit angeguckt, weil der hat ein Video hochgeladen zu ähm, Europa Universalis, das ich auch ein bisschen angezockt habe, nicht im Stream, also alles off-Stream. Und da wollte ich wissen, was er denn so gemacht hat, weil Spiffing Brit ist ja bekannt dafür, diverse Exploits zu finden in Spielen und das Spiel eigentlich komplett ad, absurd, ad absurdum zu führen, wenn ich es denn sagen könnte. Das ist halt so ein bisschen das Spiel nicht so zu spielen, wie es gedacht ist und trotzdem erfolgreich dabei zu sein und das Spiel so ein bisschen zu brechen und Sachen auszunutzen, die wahrscheinlich niemand anderes finden würde. Und deswegen habe ich mir das Video mal auf die Seite gelegt, als ich gesehen habe, dass es verfügbar ist und dachte mir, da könnte ich doch eigentlich mal darauf reagieren und gucken, wie das denn so, wie er das denn so gemacht hat. Und ja, ich war im Stream unterwegs, das heißt, ich gehe auch ab und zu mal auf Chatnachrichten ein, einfach, dass ihr das wisst. Und das war schon sehr interessant. Das ist ein bisschen ein längeres Reaction-Video, weil des Videos an sich halt schon relativ lange ging. Ich möchte es mal testen, wie das so ankommt bei euch. Lasst gerne Feedback da, lasst mich das wissen, wie ihr dazu steht zu solchen Sachen. Und ja, viel Spaß beim Video. So, erstmal schön verpixeltes Bild zu Beginn. Und ich hoffe, das wird ein gutes Video. Das geht 37 Minuten.
Welcome back to EU5, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Spiffing Brit, the universe's greatest breaker of
Dass es immer noch zu laut war.
video games. Today I've taken it upon myself to truly break not just a game, but also human history, as I'm going to show you how to take the weakest nation of the entire game that starts on just one tiny island in the middle of nowhere and elevate it to a status of godhood, with infinite money, infinite possibilities, and infinite piracy. If you like the sound of that, then pop the kettle on, because something magical is going to happen. So
Also er will anscheinend das kleinste Land, das es gibt, nehmen und okay, ich bin gespannt. Ich verstehe kein Chinesisch. Ich auch nicht.
let's begin a brand new game. Right, so welcome to the world map at the start of the game. It's the 1st of April 1337, and when you're looking around for a very weak nation to play, you might settle on something like France.
Erstmal die Franzosen bashen, finde ich gut. Ich verstehe auch nicht, wie er diese Exploits findet. Tatsächlich, das ist halt crazy. Das ist halt echt crazy.
That's completely understandable. After all, it's full of French people. But no, we're actually going to start out our game by playing as a rather big nation. This is the Ashikaga Shogunate. They're basically spicy Shinto Japan. Now, alarm bells are probably immediately ringing, as I did promise that I'd be playing an incredibly weak nation, and that's clearly not what this is. But fear not, because in about a year's time, we're going to be able to activate a secret little event that's going to summon our brand new nation. Now, the Ashikaga Shogunate is big. We start with 1,400 gold. We've got a monthly income of about 35 gold. We got nearly.
Wait, was hat er jetzt genommen? Ich habe kurz auf den Chat geguckt. Ja, Geburtsjahr. Ich verstehe schon. Ich weiß schon, was du damit sagen wolltest.
And that's clearly not what this is. But fear not, because in about a year's time, we're going to be able to activate a secret little event that's going to summon our brand new nation. Now, the Ashikaga Shogunate is big. We start with 1,400 gold.
Ach ja, doch,
We've
das
got a
genommen.
monthly income of about 35 gold. We got nearly 4.
Es ist halt. Ich würde es nicht mit Civilizations vergleichen, weil bei dem Spiel startest du wirklich mit den schon fix fertigen Ländern quasi. By the way, was ist das eigentlich für eine Auflösung, ey? Na doch, passt. Das ist wahrscheinlich gerade der Screenshot, der nicht so sauber ist. Also die Länder existieren halt eigentlich schon und du musst dich dann um die Wirtschaft kümmern. Du kannst dann natürlich auch Länder angreifen und so weiter. Aber du musst nicht so Siedler bauen und neue Städte bauen und so wie in Civ. Ich würde es eher mit Crusader Kings vergleichen. Genau, Mina. Crusader Kings, Victoria 3, genau. Hearts of Iron im Groben vielleicht auch noch so. Wobei Hearts of Iron dann halt einfach im Zweiten Weltkrieg spielt.
0.6 million people living inside of us. It's huge. But as I said, we're not playing as them. We're instead going to be playing on one of these islands over here. But we don't get to actually start out the game playing over there. Instead, we have to plan out our game a little bit. And the way in which we do that is to actually prepare for success. And we do this by constructing various buildings all across of Japan. We're focusing on weaponsmiths, naval supply guilds, hand cannon guilds, and the most important one of all, the Distillers Guild. Yes, it produces booze. Booze is the lifeblood of a good economy, and so that's.
Habt ihr das gehört? Booze, also Alkohol, ist wichtig für eine gute Economy, ne? Am nahesten kommt Victoria. Ich denke auch, ich habe aber Victoria nie gespielt, tatsächlich. Ich habe Crusader Kings gespielt, aber das spielt halt im Mittelalter. Ne?
Where we're going to be sinking our money in. Next up, we're going to crank inflation up to maximum, because after all, we don't actually care.
Wait, er hat die Inflation aufs Maximum gestellt? What? Okay, interesting. Also du musst ja auch in diesem Spiel mit den mit deinen Ständen so ein bisschen auskommen. Ich weiß jetzt nicht, wie gut die Stände da sind, also wie viele es gibt, aber du musst da ein bisschen mit dem haushalten können tatsächlich, dass die zufrieden sind. Also so der Adel und so weiter und so fort. Die Inflation hochzustellen, das habe ich bisher noch nie gemacht.
Care about what happens to Japan here. The entire thing can collapse, and that's completely fine with me. And then I'm.
Ich verstehe. Er will Japan quasi zum Kollaps bringen und dann die kleine Insel übernehmen, oder?
I'm going to take out a massive loan, and the reason for this is very simple. I need to actually move an entire market. I'm going to be migrating my market from Kyoto and instead moving it all the way down to Hirsch here. In doing so, what we've done is we've moved these islands ever so slightly closer to Japan's market hub. As we're inevitably going to be playing on them, this makes a lot of sense, because we want to trade with all of these various weaponsmiths and naval supply guilds that we're getting constructed. So here we are. We're less than 1 year into the game, and our event is fired. This is the Band of Pirate event. There are horrible standards of living all across the islands, and this has had a knock-on effect whereby rampant piracy is now spreading. A certain warlord has managed to centralize power and banded together to form the Pirate Republic of the Satsunan Islands, which is located.
Die Piratenrepublik, geil. $50,000 Bier income? Ja, finde ich gut.
Over here on this province. Now, normally at this point in the game, we hope we don't get targeted, but that's very boring. Instead, we're going to say that we want to start playing as them, which is much more cool. But before we do that, we're going to kill ourselves. Perfect, there we go. The current leader of Japan has just committed seppuku. Right, let's quickly bounce on out and play a different nation. Huzzah! We set Japan up for what can only be described as a little bit of light failure. Right, so welcome to our proper game, ladies and gentlemen. This is our island. We are Count K Boku. We have 34,000 people living.
Alter, er hat einfach Japan zum Sturz gebracht, quasi. Wo er eigentlich mit was, 6 Millionen Einwohnern oder was hatte er? Eigentlich übel schon einen guten Stand hätte und nimmt sich einfach etwas mit 34.000 Einwohnern. Ach du Scheiße.
The vast majority of people living here are tribesmen who definitely aren't our culture and definitely aren't our religion, but it'll all be okay. Now, whilst we are playing as this lovely pirate republic, there's a few things to keep in mind. We are tiny and we're in the East Asian Sea. We are surrounded by the biggest nation in the game, known as the Great Yuan, and what is usually the second most powerful nation in the game, Japan. But for the time being, we are a tiny nation that nobody likes, and I genuinely can't really blame them, because
es ist nicht die ganze Welt tatsächlich. Also das Spiel heißt ja auch Europa Universalis. Es dreht sich größtenteils um Europa. Es gibt allerdings auch gewisse Teile von Asien und ich glaube auch gewisse Teile von Nordamerika.
we are a nation of pirates, and if you're near a nation of pirates, well, chances.
Aber wenn ich mich richtig erinnere, so Australien und so ist, glaube ich, nicht dabei. Aber ich bin mir gerade nicht sicher.
Are some of your people are going to start getting abducted. But
und Afrika ist auch nicht alles dabei.
there are a few things that make us special. For example, we start out with 5 wonderful galleys, and we have access to all of.
Alter, wie kann so ein kleines Land schon 5 Galeeren haben? Das ist crazy. Ich dachte, die hätten doch überhaupt keine Schiffe oder so.
The amazing pirate buildings, like the pirate stronghold here, that provided we have enough naval supplies, weapons, booze, and firearms, will generate us 20 gold per month, as well as a nice supply of monthly sailors. But we need to get ourselves a port as fast as possible and get building as many boats as quickly as we can. So that means we're going to quickly turn this island into a town, and hopefully we'll be able to get our empire up and running. Oh, and of course we need to start converting our capital so that it actually follows our religion, and then
Aber trotz allem, guckt euch mal hier oben die Zahlen an, wa? Das ist leider hier dieses Smallest Country Dingens drüber. Der macht bei jedem Stand macht der Minus. Permanent. Er macht Minus, was das Geld angeht. Er macht Minus, was, was war das nochmal? Was war das? Ich komme gerade nicht dahinter. Ich weiß gerade nicht mehr. Er macht bei so vielen Sachen Minus. Prestige ist es, glaube ich, auch. Also, das ist halt crazy. Ich bin gespannt, wie er das rumreißt, das Ganze.
we also need to assimilate the local population into actually following our culture, because currently there is a single person of our culture in this nation, and I'm pretty sure that's just our king. Right, first things first. This island needs a proper name. Currently, it wants to be called Ami Oshima, which is silly. Instead, it shall become New Tealand. Now, that's a good name. So, New Tealand has basically nothing going for it. It is a tiny island that produces a grand total value of 0. That's right, this island is statistically completely worthless. But that's all okay, because our economy is going to get very, very weird. So you'll notice that currently we are actually making money, and that's entirely thanks to this amazing pirate stronghold here. Because we have a little bit of wood lying around, we're able to make 4 gold off of it, which is very nice indeed. And with the spare money we start with, we're able to actually codify some laws, like for example allowing everyone in our nation to receive a basic education. We're also going to have a common language, so that way the peasants can understand what's going on. We're also going to enforce the examination system, and when it comes to piracy, well, we're going to become state pirates. I mean, come on, what else were you expecting? Now, there are a few very interesting things that we can do as this lovely tiny nation, one of which is very stupid. Basically, for some reason, our nation gets access to this button here, Request Wacko Sponsorship. We're the only nation with access to this ability, but what it allows us to do is go over to any of these nations, which we'll always accept by the way, and say, hey, you should sponsor me. Now, why on earth would a nation choose to do this? Well, the reasoning is simple. They see me as a pirate republic, and by accepting this relationship, we're promising not to attack them. In return, they get plus 0.01% of pirates spawning off of their coast, which isn't very good, and we receive 5 gold per month. Now, a lot
Alter, das ist ja insane. Der kann mit all diesen Nationen einfach ein Sponsorship abschließen und kriegt von jeder Nation dann 5 Gold pro Monat. What the fuck?
of these tiny clans don't even make 5 gold a month, and we've just convinced one of them to give us money. Should the AI be feeding me 5 gold out of thin air because I threatened I'd break their kneecaps? No, it probably shouldn't. But welcome to New Tealand, an island that's going to be founded off of a few core foundations, stealing everything that's not bolted down to the ground, and really going after the kneecaps of others. Now, unfortunately for us, our leader is currently really bad. Yeah, this gentleman here, Count K. Boku, is legitimately the worst. I don't know why this pirate republic decided to elect Kai. He has no administrative skills at all. He's really bad at diplomacy as well, and the only thing that he's vaguely okay at is military. But we can't get rid of him, because when we commit Sabugu, no, it's seppuku, there we go. Although maybe we should be calling it Sudoku for the sake of the YouTube filters. Okay, so when we play a game of Sudoku, we lose 50 stability, and that's really not something we want to have to go through. Of course, we did that to Japan, because who cares if they lose 50 stability? That's not my problem. Ooh, we got our first raid off. Yes, it's a raid on Ryukyu. Now, this is an early access game. Oh wait, no, sorry, it's not an early access game. It's a fully released game. Ah, but it's a Paradox game. So that means that a lot of these event tooltips don't actually work. For example, we've just done a raid on one of these Ryukyu islands. We don't know which one it is, but by doing so, we gain 0.47 gold and 0 slaves. Now, that 0 slaves is actually incorrect. We can go over to our demographics here, and once we push this button, you'll notice we actually got 33 slaves.
Alter, wo findet er diese Exploits immer raus? Das ist insane. Das ist einfach insane. Oha, Erpressung, ja, definitiv Erpressung. Ich find's halt crazy, dass die, also so wie er sagt, immer annehmen, wenn du das vorschlägst. Und jetzt kriegt er von denen Sklaven. Okay, ich sehe, worauf es, glaube ich, rauslaufen wird. Ach du Scheiße.
There we go. So yes, our raiding boats went down south, grabbed some people, loaded them onto a boat, and brought them over here. And that's great, because we can teach them how to start harvesting pearls or something, I don't know. The ethics of all of this is a little bit dubious. Now, there really isn't much going on in this section of the world. Most of the islands around us are basically producers of fish, which, you know, is a dirt cheap resource that nobody cares about. But however, close to us is a holy land, something that will truly shake up our game. In the little region of Nakajin over here, there's tea. I know it's incredible, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. I want it. I'll kill everyone. Sorry, I mean, I would love to do trade with the locals so that we could, you know, get some of that tea into our own empire. Yes, that seems very good indeed. Now, the way our early game works is going to be quite simple. If I have a free diplomat, I'm going to be sending said diplomat off to go and get a little sponsorship, and any money that I have lying around will go into improving our economy. Of course, for the moment, our economy really isn't very good at all, so we're going to be building ourselves a new...
Also, wenn er sagt, die Economy ist gerade nicht so gut.
Now, the way our early...
Er macht 32 plus pro Monat. Das ist nicht so schlecht tatsächlich. Also das ist wirklich nicht so schlecht.
The game works is going to be quite simple. If I have a free diplomat, I'm going to be sending said diplomat off to go and get a little sponsorship, and any money that I have lying around will go into improving our economy. Of course, for the moment, our economy really isn't very good at all. So we're going to be building ourselves a new wharf so that we can start constructing ships, and then eventually we'll even start colonizing some new islands. You know, I'm going to start that colonization process right now. The thing is, Japan's trying to colonize them as well, and we really can't be beaten by Japan. If we are, that would be incredibly embarrassing. Okay, now we finally researched the foundations of our republic, so this allows us to kind of, you know, set the baseline for what kind of society we want to run. Is it one of authoritarianism? Is it one of meritocratic rule where the cream of the crop rise and become, I don't know, very crusty and wealthy? No, for me it's going to be the virtues of the plebs. Yes, the general public and the peasants will be getting some extra power from this, but it generally makes everyone happier, which is great for me. Oh, we got ourselves another raid. This one's big. Wow, we've raided Ningbo in China. There's 260,000 people living here. Okay, this is going to be a big one. So you'll notice that it says we get 28 gold, which is, you know, pretty pathetic, nothing to write home about, but we get 4 slaves. Now, when it says 4 slaves, that's actually incorrect, because when I push this button, it actually means 4,000.
Was?
That is absurd. It's ridiculous. Now, I realize that YouTube doesn't really like us using the, you know, S word, so I think instead we should rebrand it as something more fun and inclusive. And then I had a perfect idea. This. Nothing beats...
Er schafft mal hier seine eigene Storyline durch Entscheidungen im Singleplayer. Also du kannst auch Multiplayer das spielen, dass jeder so ein bisschen seine Nation nimmt, die er möchte. Aber du kannst tatsächlich einfach ein Land oder du musst nicht mal das Land nehmen, du kannst auch irgendeinen Bezirk quasi nehmen. Also eine Grafschaft oder sowas, ne, in Europa oder was auch immer. Und ja, dann kannst du deine Storyline so ein bisschen durch die Entscheidungen beeinflussen. Also du kannst dann zum Beispiel dich einheiraten in eine gute Dynastie, die halt viel Militärmacht hat, die dann zu deinen Verbündeten werden, die dich dann beschützen oder die du dann in den Krieg rufen kannst, wenn du Nachbarländer oder Nachbargebiete einnehmen möchtest. Du kannst dann auch deine Kinder verheiraten. Also wenn du Kinder dann hast, dann kannst du sagen, okay, du heiratest jetzt den Nachkommen von diesem Königreich, dass du dann irgendwann mal da auf dem Thron in Anführungszeichen sitzt, dass du halt da zu den Nachkommen gehörst, die die Macht über das Königreich haben. Du kannst so viele Sachen machen in dem Spiel. Also Crusader Kings, ich weiß nicht, ob du das kennst, spielt im Mittelalter, aber ist ja nicht von daher genau das Gleiche. Also du heiratest halt, also du machst halt dann Heirat mit irgendjemandem aus einem guten Reich. Du kannst dort Leute erpressen, spionieren, Leute umbringen lassen und so weiter. Und hier dreht sich ein bisschen mehr um die Wirtschaft. Also in Crusader Kings ist das mehr so ein bisschen zweitrangig. Und hier ist es halt wirklich die Wirtschaft. Aber es kommen immer wieder, was ich ganz cool finde bei einem Spiel, es kommen immer wieder Events, die halt auch wirklich so historisch stattgefunden haben. Das heißt, der Hundertjährige Krieg zum Beispiel zwischen Frankreich und England, der bricht dort auch relativ früh im Spiel schon aus. Das heißt, es macht aus meiner Sicht jetzt nicht großartig Sinn, England oder Frankreich zu spielen, weil du bist direkt im Krieg danach. Das ist meistens nicht so gut. ähm, aber du kannst natürlich davon profitieren. Ne? Du kannst natürlich sagen, okay, wenn die Krieg führen, kann ich mich auf eine Seite stellen und dann vielleicht einen Teil vom Gewinn abhaben. Ne? Also sozusagen, wenn jetzt die Franzosen die Engländer besiegen würden, kann man da vielleicht irgendwas dann schaukeln, dass da die Macht auf der englischen Insel so ein bisschen in deine Richtung kommt. Und so weiter und so fort. Also es ist halt ultra cool eigentlich zu spielen.
The Spiff 2 holiday. This summer, we can take you and your family for a one-way trip to New Zealand, where you can stay at an all-inclusive resort, provided you accept our contract for a life in servitude. What are you waiting for? Book your holiday today. Anyway, I've got some free diplomats lying around, so I'm going to ask for some wacko sponsorship from a bunch of random clans. So now I'm making 56 gold per month.
Wartet kurz, ich muss mal ganz kurz ein kleines Stück zurück. Wie viele Diplomaten hat er gerade losgeschickt?
Waiting for. Book your holiday today. Anyway, I've got some free diplomats lying around.
Er hat 4, right?
So I'm going to ask for some wacko sponsorship.
Okay, das hat nach mehr ausgesehen. Okay, es waren 4.
So now I'm making
okay.
56 gold per month. Now, Japan wasn't even making that much money. Japan has 339 provinces and 4 million people living inside of it. I am an island with 0 development that apparently everyone feels so threatened by, they're willing to bankrupt themselves in order to pay me. And you know what? Actually, we have enough population here now to turn New Zealand into a city. The only problem is in order to do that, we need money. And well, we're a tiny one-province island. How on earth are we gonna get any money? Oh, thank you, random nations that want to feed me everything. How very kind of you. So less than 5 years into the game, we're now already making 100 gold per month in profit. This is not normal at all. Absolutely no one else in the game is going to be able to get anywhere near close to this. But we're getting 102 gold from other incomes. And because all of our money is coming from external sources, our regular costs haven't gone up at all. Because the
Spiffing Brit, bester Mann, definitiv. Spiffing Brit ist so ein guter YouTuber und ich finde seine Videos immer so geil. Vor allem, wie er diese Dinge immer wieder findet. Es gibt auch ein Video zu, wie hieß das Jurassic Park Spiel? Jurassic World Evolution oder so. Glaube ich, hieß das. Wo er sein Geld, er hat, glaube ich, einfach quasi keine Dinos gehabt. Also eigentlich keine Attraktionen. Aber die Leute kamen trotzdem in den Park und er hat die dann irgendwie einfach fressen lassen, weil er irgendwie einen Exploit gefunden hat, dass immer wenn jemand stirbt oder so, dass er Geld kriegt oder irgendwie sowas war das. Ich weiß nicht mehr genau, das ist schon ein bisschen länger her. Insane. Das ist halt echt insane. Und was ich da hier dazu sagen möchte, ist, der kriegt halt einfach 1000 Gold pro Monat. Ich hab das Spiel noch nicht viel gespielt, ne? Ich habe das für mich so ein bisschen angefangen. Aber wenn ich im Plus war, war ich schon zufrieden, ne? Wenn ich so knapp im Plus war ich schon echt sehr zufrieden. 40 Giraffen auf 2 Quadratmeter Platz, ja. Das habe ich auch mal irgendwas gesehen, sowas. War das bei Animal, nee, wie ist das Spiel? Ich weiß gerade nicht mehr. Planet Zoo, genau, ja, danke, Mina, danke. Also der Typ ist so insane. Der ist halt, also du hast die Videos von den YouTube-Algorithmus-Exploits gesehen, okay. Ganz ehrlich, guck dir Spiffing Brit die Gameplay, also die Game-Videos an. Tropico fand ich das beste Video ever. Tropico 6, glaube ich, war's. Wo er eine Touristeninsel gebaut hat und jeder Tourist, der kam, wurde direkt verhaftet und musste dann für ihn arbeiten. Irgendwie so gegen das. Ich weiß auch nicht mehr genau, aber das war auch insane lustig.
Game chooses to ignore them. This means that our stability, diplomatic spending, and cost of the court are all absolutely dirt cheap. Because according to the game, I have an economic base of 2.2 gold per month. I of course know that the reality of this is an absolute lie. Anyway, with all of that money we have lying around, we can found ourselves a brand new city for 1,600 gold. Bam! New Zealand is gonna become massive. Now I also don't have to worry about anyone being upset with me because all of these estates are really easy to deal with. I can go to every single one of them and I can throw 7 gold at the peasant faction and that will make them like me more. This means that all of my...
Jetzt verstehe ich, wie er das mit den Ständen macht. Ich habe ja vorhin gesagt, dass das Problem ja eigentlich ist, dass der Adel und so weiter ihn halt immer schlechter findet. Er kann die einfach bezahlen jetzt. Weil der so viel Kohle macht. Alter, das ist insane. Das ist so dumm.
population are basically always happy, despite the fact that we live on a tiny, horrible tropical island with no access to any working infrastructure. We've only just built ourselves a port. Actually, you can also build myself another boat. We really are going to need as many boats as we possibly can. Bam. Let's get 2 of those bad boys going. Now, we've got a lovely debate going through our parliament at the moment, which is all about promoting our state religion. Our religion might not be that exciting.
Ja, Mina, dann wünsche ich dir eine gute Nacht und schön, dass du da warst. Und wir sehen uns demnächst wieder. Ich gucke nicht so viel in den Scheinwerfer. Weil für Hirsche ist es gefährlich, in Scheinwerfer zu gucken, weil das ist meistens ein Auto und das ist nicht gut. Für Hirsche. Gut, ich wünsche dir eine gute Nacht. Schön, dass du da warst. Mach's gut.
But it is still important to enforce it on others, as that brings about glorious unity, and we are kind of a melting pot for different religions, mostly because we keep abducting people who just believe in different things, loading them onto boats and then dropping them off on New Zealand, you know, like a perfectly normal nation would. Oh, I've got some more diplomats lying around, which means, of course, I can start asking for even more money. There we go, request more wacko sponsorships. I also had a really strange idea for this video, so something we used to regularly do was I'd ask you guys to hit some kind of like target for a video, and then I in turn would go and purchase something very stupid online, like for example my lordship in Sealand, or a plot of land on the moon. And today I've found another one. So ladies and gentlemen, if this video is able to hit 20,000 likes, I will buy a membership for the Muff Diving Club. That's right, it's a deeply serious club of people who are very interested in diving in Muff. Muff, of course, being a small village on the northwest of Ireland. So yes, go like the video and I'll be able to get myself a very stupid piece of paper. Anyway, speaking of muff diving, as a pirate nation, we can build brothels. Brothels are fantastic because they increase population growth, of course with the trade-off of causing diseases to spread, but who cares? Because at the end of the day, the most important attribute in this game is population. Oh man, look at this, we've got an event, a possible raid on the Ashikaga fleet. Oh, this would be good, we can spend some of our sailors and we'd be able to get a good amount of money attacking the Japanese. Now, of course, it would upset them, but, you know, we are pirates. So,
also er würde jetzt ein bisschen Sailor verlieren, ne? Also ein bisschen, ich nenne es mal Marine, verlieren. Sind das die Sklaven, die er hat, die er einfach da drauf packt auf die Boote, auf die Schiffe? Weil dann kann es ihm ja echt egal sein, ne?
Thank you very much, brother.
Hangover, vielen lieben Dank für deinen Prime-Sub. Dankeschön. Sehr, sehr nett von dir.
let's launch the attack, huzzah! All I need to do is produce enough weapons that I can properly start constructing my own warships. Now the economy of this...
Hat es die Werbung satt, ne? Nee, vielen lieben Dank. Also sowieso, was heute abgeht oder auch gestern schon. Gestern waren wir schon so viele Leute hier im Chat. Und heute und Follows natürlich. Ach, du hast es gerade entdeckt, okay. Und heute mit Geschenksubs, mit jetzt deinem Sub, mit Follows, mit den Bits von Budi. Also insane, was gerade abgeht die letzten paar Tage. Also ich schätze das sehr. Vielen lieben Dank, ne?
city of New Tealand is going to start exploding. Because we're a city, we can build multiple things at the same time, and that's really going to allow our tax base to explode. Not that we really need a tax base or even an economy, because our entire nation is sustained by an infinite supply of money coming from a bunch of scared Japanese people.
Also, es ist halt insane. Das ist halt insane, dass er im Prinzip alle mögen seine Politik nicht, aber er bezahlt die einfach easy, dass die alle wieder zufrieden sind.
We've got more populations fleeing from Japan, wanting to join the glorious nation of New Tealand. Lovely, that's an extra 1,000 peasants rocking up at our shores. And our tax base is indeed exploding, went up to 4.92. Oh, and yet even more peasants are joining, this time from Korea. Yeah, it turns out life is great on New Tealand. Why wouldn't you want to come hang out over here? Other than the fact that it's on a tiny island in the middle of nowhere that's regularly wrecked by hurricanes. But ignoring all of those things and the food shortages, it's great.
Er hat minus 23 Food pro Monat. Ach du Schande. Wie überlebt er das als Herrscher da? Das ist doch nicht normal.
Exciting! War is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, the entirety of Japan has decided to declare war on me. This was relatively inevitable. There's just one minor issue for the AI. Yes, they might be the fourth great power in the world, with a massive population and over 339 territories, but I am a pirate republic that exists on one tiny island. I don't have to play by their rules. And because I happen to have 10,000 gold lying around, I might as well do some very silly things, like hire a bunch of additional ships. They're not very good because they're all transports, but that's also the only thing that Japan's going to be able to field against us. So I'm going to sail my fleet back home and get very excited as Japan is about to demonstrate the true capabilities of the AI. Okay, it's now been 1 year since this war started, and we are yet to see any interaction from the Japanese. This is very exciting. One of the most thrilling wars I've ever had. It's all kicking off. By that I mean it's about as stale as a week-old loaf of bread. Oh, here it is. Fantastic. Okay, so the Japanese have finally arrived with a fleet of 18 transport ships carrying 3,000 men. Now, of course, if these troops landed, we would stand no chance at all. They outnumber us 3-1. They definitely win. However, they're never going to land, as I'm going to sail my 47 ships out to sea and say hello to their incredibly small stack of transports. This naval engagement is going to go about as you could probably expect it will. I have actual ships that can do combat, and they have primarily a bunch of nonsense transports who are getting absolutely.
Er hat 47 Schiffe. Also er hat einfach 3-mal mehr Schiffe als Japan. Jetzt gerade in diesem Krieg halt. Obwohl er nur 1000 Einwohner hat. Das ist insane.
Shredded by my glorious galleys. And would you look at that, we won and they ran away. Unfortunately, we didn't do enough damage to sink any of their ships, but still, that's technically a victory in battle. Now I just have to wait another year until they build up the courage to send another invasion force. Oh, and here it comes, yet another fleet, this time with 11 ships. And, well, this battle actually went the way I expected it would. We captured one of the enemy's transports and sunk a bunch of the others, meaning that their fleet is largely dead, and we can chase it down to finish it off. And potentially, if we manage this, we're going to be able to kill all of the troops on board. After all, if you sink a ship with a few thousand people standing on it, unless they're really, really good swimmers, that's probably the last you're going to see of them. Okay, welcome back. It's 1352, and I got bored of the Japanese AI doing absolutely nothing, so I decided to go on the offensive. Basically, I waited until winter and dropped my army on the north side of the island. By doing this, the entirety of
Alles klar, Hangover. Dann wünsche ich dir einen schönen Abend. Schön, dass du da warst. Danke für den Sub. Und morgen, ich werde die wahrscheinlich auf den Server packen und das zusammen mit euch erkunden. Bis zum Cup of the Day. Also wenn du Bock hast, dann gerne. Und Zeit, natürlich. Dann sehr gerne. Und ja, dann gutes Nächtle wünsche ich dir. Perfekt. Dann vielleicht bis morgen. Tschüssi. Ach, falls Lefty noch da ist. Ich weiß nicht, ob Lefty noch da ist. Wenn Lefty noch da ist, wenn du Game of Thrones magst, Bei Crusader Kings 3 gibt es eine Game of Thrones Map. Also eine Mod quasi, wo du dann Game of Thrones nachspielen kannst. Das ist auch insane geil.
The Japanese army that had been hanging around down here has basically spent over a year trying to get up to the north side. This is something that they've not been able to do in time, because when it's wintry, it's very difficult to cross any of these mountain passes, which basically means all of northern Japan is just free reign for me to have fun in. And with that, we've finally gained enough war score so that I can actually peace out. We're going to take this lovely island of Sado, 489 gold, and we're going to humiliate this nation. Yes, it's incredible. Now you might be wondering why on earth I decided to take these two islands here, and the reasoning is quite simple. Not only have they got a nice large population that is of our same culture, but it's also home to an absolutely incredible gold mine and silver mine, which we can massively invest all of our money into. Oh, and also to update our progress, we finally finished colonizing our starting area of these islands, meaning we have the island of Tokunoshima here, which will be renamed to the Princess Diana Memorial. Now it turns out the Princess Diana Memorial is actually a perfect place to build a pirate haven. That's what our lowly commoners have decided to do. So things are going very well for our lovely little pirate republic. I mean, our economy is basically free because we have a near infinite quantity of tiny Japanese subjects to ask for money from. But something magical has happened. The people have seen the light. That's right, the people of the Princess Diana Memorial for some reason see the purpose of everything. Probably because we built a bunch of statues of the Lady Diana, and that is encouraging them to become Shinto. Didn't really know Diana had that impact on people, but it's good to know that she had a superpower and was potentially a weeb. Meanwhile, New Land is growing to astronomical levels, mostly due to the fact that everyone wants to emigrate here because it's fantastic. Now, I am also beginning my colonization adventures. We're going to try and pick up most of this island chain, maybe even Taiwan, but realistically, the economic game is over. I have 35,000 gold to sit on.
35.000 hat er mittlerweile. Alter, das ist einfach nur insane. Also, I don't know. Ich weiß nicht mal mehr, was ich sagen soll zu dem Ganzen, ey.
So honestly, I think I'm just going to wait a few more years, buy an absolutely massive army of mercenaries, and try and conquer a big chunk of Japan. Right, so we've just had ourselves another lovely parliament, which has given me the ability to fabricate a claim on the kingdom of Ryukyu to our south. That's right, it's an actual kingdom. They've got the exact same population as me. They have 3 provinces. There's just one difference. They're not a pirate republic that's extorting a bunch of AIs. So that means, unlike me, they can't hire a massive stack of mercenaries to do all of the war for them. What?
Alles klar. Schönen Abend, Moon. Bis vielleicht morgen. Oder bis ziemlich sicher morgen, nehme ich mal an. Mach's gut und noch weiterhin gute Besserung, ne?
A shame. So I'm going to hire one new mercenary captain, followed by another, and I think those 1,800 mercenaries should be more than enough to defeat whatever Ryukyu's able to muster. So we'll get it loaded up onto a boat and declare war. Now you might think, well, why on earth are we attacking Ryukyu other than the fact that, more people is more good? Well, it's because they have this glorious tea province here, and I want to turn it into something truly magnificent. Oh dear, the entire Ryukyuan army was just wiped out in a single battle. Oh well. So yes, we're going to take the entire nation, and all it took was just one battle. Wow, that was one heck of a short war. Anyway, we can now begin the immediate process of expanding the tea farming operation here. More tea is more good. Now that we have this lovely tea province, we can of course rename it. This shall be renamed after the greatest tea producing province I know. Yorkshire. Yes, that's right. Everyone knows Yorkshire produces tea in some kind of magnificent underground hydroponics lab. That's the only explanation. And we can also upgrade our country rank. Fantastic. We're going to become a duchy. Splendid. We're now a pirate duchy rather than county. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's 1358 and the world is starting to get spicy. China is in the process of absolutely collapsing into the ground, and we're actually doing surprisingly well. Our empire's expanding nicely, we're starting to colonize some new islands, but most importantly, I'm discovering the glorious overpowered nature of pirates. You see, pirates can very easily build these smugglers' coves. They have the effect of improving harbor capacity as well as maritime presence. Two statistics that allow you to basically exert control over distances very far away. For example, if we're able to get a large amount of our presence in the Hedo Cape Sea Zone, then the Princess Diana Memorial location will be placed under greater control. Control is the single most important statistic of this game, and it's not even close. For example, we can see that for most of Great Yuan, whilst they do seem to be a massive nation, they actually have very little control outside of their capital, and the same is for Japan. Whilst this central region is well taxed, and the government can get the most out of the people living there, anything north of that is pretty much the Wild West. Now, another great way of exerting control is just by having more boats, and as I have a near infinite supply of money, that means that instead of building up my own navy, I'm just going to hire some mercenaries. Now, I do really enjoy pirates. I think they're very fun. There's a lot of humor that can sit around them as well. For example, one of my favorite jokes is, of course, why does a crew know when their captain has food poisoning? Because they checked the captain's log. Oh, dear. I love terrible jokes. Another thing I'm doing, because we have so much money lying around, is just turning everything into a town. It's kind of funny that we're just able to do this because, well, we have so much money lying around. And towns are objectively better. They give us more control, they allow us to build more distilleries, and most importantly, they let us build brothels. Yes, there we go. Although in New Zealand, the brothel is only operating at 75% efficiency due to a lack of booze. I don't quite know what a 75% efficiency brothel looks like, and I don't think I want to know the answer. And fantastic, we've founded our new town over here in Soweto, which has the gold mine, so that definitely needs to be renamed to Yorkshire Gold, yes. Now what are we going to do with Yorkshire Gold? We're going to fill it with smugglers' coves and brothels, like any good, reputable business would. Splendid, let's get it loaded up with pirates. Oh my goodness, we've done another massive raid. This one is huge. On the Suzhou region, we've apparently collected a grand total of 6 slaves to send to New Zealand. Of course, we know that's not actually the case. Instead, it's 6,000. Oh,
Also er hatte 1000 Einwohner und 18.000 Sklaven, oder wie war das? Ach du Scheiße. Nee, er hat mittlerweile ein bisschen mehr Einwohner, ne? 168.000. Zählen da die Sklaven dazu oder nicht? Weiß ich gar nicht. Das wäre mal auch interessant zu wissen, ob die dazu zählen oder nicht.
yes, that is good. That is very, very good. And another one? We just keep raiding everywhere. This is great. More and more lovely people to add to the people pile. That's what we're calling it, by the way. Oh, and the Princess Diana Memorial has now fantastically become a town, which means it's time for more smugglers' coves and brothels. Yes, our population's going to be booming soon enough. And that's not going to be the only thing booming, because I want to get some hand cannon workshops going. That way we can have an even greater fleet. Oh, and now Camo's also become a town. Fantastic. You can be renamed to Yorkshire Silver instead. I mean, that's not a brand of tea, but maybe they could make one. And you know what? I'm also going to start building these harbour taverns everywhere. These will provide us with a nice supply of sailors and soldiers, should I once again feel the need to go to war, which is basically inevitable. Right, it's the 1st of February of 1360, and that means that a new parliament is in session that allows me to fabricate a casus belli on the Ashikaga shogunate. That's right, we're going to declare war on Japan. The claim I'm going to make will last for 4 years, but in that time we can declare war on Japan whenever we like. But I'm personally also going to be preparing for war, and that means building more lovely galleys. Yes, I need as many of them as I possibly can, and they take about a year to make, and that's even with my glorious improvements. Oh no. King died. Wait, actually no, this isn't a bad thing. Our terrible Grand Captain is dead. Kaiboku has finally kicked the bucket. He was so bad. Apparently though, people are actually sad. He died whilst the Navy was out at sea. Charges into enemy lines have left a lasting impression on every soldier of his generation. What do you mean? The man was terrible. We all hated him. Anyway, we now get to at least pick a brand new pirate leader. And well, I'm sorry, but it's not even close. Captain Takeyoko Nagayoshi here has some splendid administrative, admin and military abilities. And he's our glorious...
Guckt euch diese Stats an, die der hat. Holy. Das ist nicht
Admiral
schlecht.
already, so yes, he's going to be perfect to lead the ship, so to speak. Oh my goodness, what is this? The plight of some peasants over in China is meaning that they're fleeing to our capital. How many is that? 9,100 peasants. This is insane. Population just arrives out of thin air. I mean, at this point, we could just change our culture to be Chinese instead. It might make a bit of sense. And finally, after all these years, I've managed to shift our entire society's focus towards Navy, and this allows me to pick up a new governmental reform. reform, the Harbour Administration. This makes all of our ships even cheaper to maintain. It allows us to exert more control over the seas, as well as improve the development of all coastal provinces, which, as you can guess, for an island-based pirate republic, that's kind of everything we have. I'm also going to have our brand new Chad captain get married to a low-born lady, and here she is. She is 16 years old. Okay, but she's incorruptible. That's great. I'm just not going to read into any of this. Oh, we got another raid, this time targeting Japan. Lovely, that's more population to the population pile, and more Korean peasants are flocking to our lovely island. And fantastic, we've now also started colonizing more and more islands off in the ocean. Yep, Ishigaki over here is now a brand new island of fish. So, I guess we can rename this Fishton. Yes, lovely, what a great name. Right, ladies and gentlemen, it is the 1st of March, 1364, and you know what that means? It means it's time for war with Japan. I know, the full Ashikaga Shogunate versus a tiny pirate republic. All we have to do is wait until the 4th of March, where I can now declare war. Now, of course, we are never going to win this war. We can take a look at the land comparison between us. If I declare this war, Japan is able to potentially raise a total of 259,000 troops. I, however, using all of the mercenaries in the land, could maybe raise about 5,000. There is absolutely no way I should logically be able to win this war, but I am a dastardly evil British person, and so that means I can declare this war, and you'll notice that very entertainingly in the top left we have plus 100% war score. This is from occupations and blockades. How very curious. The reasoning is very simple. A few years ago I conquered and controlled this bit of territory here. Now, because this bit of territory technically contains things built by the Japanese clans, I gain occupational war score, because yes, this is Japanese stuff inside of my controlled territory, meaning I get a ridiculous amount of war score before the war has even begun. This means, ladies and gentlemen, that the war is already over. All I have to do is wait until the 3rd of April, at which point I can send off a diplomat and the war is done. Now, of course, I am technically losing money here, and that's because for all of the clans who we went to war with, they've stopped giving me money. But of course, I'm sat on 73,000 gold, so we're probably not going to run into a problem there. Japan also only has 2 ships in its entire fleet, meaning it
2 Schiffe haben die Japaner. Okay, das ist crazy, weil der dieses kleine Gebiet da oben eingenommen hat, kriegt es so einen harten Buff auf den Krieg, das ist ja insane.
Can't actually fight back at all, as their 2 transports are sat here, meaning they can't even get them out of the port to try and occupy these islands and win the war. So there we go, it's now the 13th of April, the war is over, and I can ask for whatever I want. So what I'm going to ask for, quite simply, is this entire island. Yes, it's going to generate a ridiculous amount of antagonism, but who cares? It's going to massively increase our population. So bam! The new Pirate Republic Islands have expanded. And the war was won without us ever actually having to do anything. To make sure that this happens for any future wars as well, I'm going to be building a fort on these 2 choke points here, so that way Japan can't march an army into my lovely brand new island. At the same time, I've also taken control of the trade market of Hatta here. This is a very important location for us, as it's going to allow us to exert a huge amount of control over the rest of the world. I'm also going to give a nice little bit of territory over to a vassal. This here can be the Republic of Sanuki, because by having them control this land, they can integrate it and core it on my behalf. And despite the fact that we've just brutally conquered all of this land, the people here actually love us. After all, we didn't have to occupy it, so we didn't cause any devastation, and we're technically also the same culture as them, so they're pretty chill. But yes, this is fantastic. We now also have a much larger population of 400,000 people, and I guess all that's left is for me to actually reinstate some of those lovely wacko sponsorships, because yes, a lot of people had to break them, as we technically did go to war, but they're more than happy to reinstate them as soon as possible, which is perfect for me. So
Also das ist einfach nur insane. Ich bin gespannt, wie weit er kommt mit der Strategie. Bleibt es bei ich glaube nicht, dass es bei Japan bleibt. Ich glaube, der geht weiter. Ich glaube, der holt sich noch ein bisschen mehr.
Yes, yet another glorious exploit at work, allowing me to easily beat the 4th greatest power in the world who could potentially raise hundreds of thousands of troops as a tiny island with no actual standing military without ever having to fight. This is just the 2000 IQ brain game maneuver that we can pull off. Now when it comes to our next game plan, I of course want to become a kingdom, and the easiest way for me to do that is to slowly destroy the entirety of Japan, which is something I can do very easily as soon as our truce is up, because of course, as we now know, every time I declare a war, I will immediately start with a 100% war score. So that's the next step. Wait until we can once again declare war on the Japanese. Welcome back, one and all. It's 1317, you know what that means. I've just declared our second war against Japan. This time they once again have absolutely no troops around at all. Not that any of that particularly matters, because we've already won the war before we've started, as yes, we've got 311% war score from occupying lands. Now as we can see, this is the Japanese AI amassing itself now. We've got thousands and thousands of troops all marching straight onto these glorious fortresses that I've built. Unfortunately for the AI though, this war is already over. And so without having to do any fighting at all, we're just going to peace out and steal all of these lands. Huzzah! And just like that, the coalition against us that had just been started by Japan has been disbanded because, well, we just defeated them and we now have a truce, so they legally can't fight me. I know we're going to wait till the end of the month and our new population count should come through. And yes, we're now up to having 928,000 people living in our kingdom. We're almost to the point where we can level up from being a duchy. Very cool indeed. Right, it's 1372, and you know what I've decided? We might as well just keep attacking Japan over and over again. And we can do this using our lovely honor points that we get. So I'm going to ask the Imperial Court for an authorization of expansion, targeting the Ashikaga Shogunate, and then we're going to immediately declare war. Now, technically, we do still have an active truce with them, so this is very naughty and everyone's going to hate me, but who cares? And of course, once again, we immediately start off with 100% total war score. And now that it's the 1st of February, I can send off a diplomat. So there we go. This is going to be our next peace treaty where we steal basically the entire bottom middle of Japan. So huzzah, let's send that bad boy off. And there we go. That's another glorious peace deal where we have stolen even more of the Japanese population. This is ridiculous. I can't believe the game lets me do this. This is so dumb. Because we have so much money lying around, I've also started colonizing basically the entire known universe. Anywhere where I'm allowed to establish a colony, I decided, why not? I'll do it, even if it doesn't make much sense. Now, one of the main ways we can actually control an empire that's stretched out like this is thanks to the glorious power of maritime presence, which in the early game isn't very powerful. However, as a pirate republic, we get a few advantages. Namely, we can build smugglers' coves everywhere, and also our boats are dirt cheap. Yes, you see, these traditional galleys here are usually meant to cost quite a bit of money. However, we've stacked up a ridiculous amount of modifiers, and because of that, in order to pay for 23 traditional galleys, it only costs us 1.8 gold.
Das ist insane. Also 23 Galeeren für 1 Gold 89? What the fuck? Das ist schon... Also das ist crazy. Das ist richtig crazy. Also ich liebe die Videos von Spiffing Brit, ne? Es ist wirklich insane.
Should be costing us over 10 gold. However, we get a bunch of minuses from this on top of a major one in the form of the Smuggler's Heaven Maritime Law, which gives us minus 25% lightship maintenance cost. It's fantastic. Welcome back to the lovely Pirate Republic. It's the 22nd of February in 1381, and my glorious colonial empire is starting to grow. Yes, all around the world I have colonies going. They might cost a ridiculous amount of money, but it's completely fine, because we're starting to colonize all of this lovely island here, and we've even planted the boot on the northern tip of the Ainu region, a place that so far only Japan has been colonizing, so yes, of course I want to start stealing it. Although speaking of Japan, they've now formed a coalition against me and are rapidly inviting other people to join in. In my humble opinion, that's not very nice of them. Now my hope is that the coalition against me actually fires and Japan goes to war, because if that's the case, well ladies and gentlemen, we've got ourselves an absolute walk in the park. Come on Japan, fire the coalition against me. Look at all these nations joining in. Look, Japan, I'd be so very vulnerable. Please, Japan, please don't attack me. So yes, we're colonizing rapidly. However, I can't quite become a kingdom, because in order to become a kingdom, I need to somehow have 50 prestige. Now, 50 prestige is unfortunately a nightmare to get. So yes, we're in a bit of an entertaining predicament where basically I have to wait until random events fire that will allow me to generate some prestige, as my only other way is by paying off other people's debts, and even then I can only get a maximum of around about 5 prestige. Another 10 or so I'm going to need in order to rank up. Okay, I really think the event system in EU4 needs a lot of work, because this event here has just popped up whereby we're going to launch a raid on Satsunan Island ships. That's right, we're launching a pirate raid against ourselves, meaning when we click this button we get a anti-piracy war against ourselves. Oh look, raid on our fleet. The bastards have done it. My goodness. Right, great, we have a casus belli against ourselves. What is wrong with this game? Why does it do this? Oh dear. Oh wait, no, here it is. It has arrived. Japan has declared a mega coalition war against us. Yep, that's right. The first coalition war. Ooh, very exciting. Now, of course, unfortunately for Japan, they declare this war and are already about to lose it. How very devastating. And because I didn't start this war, I can even immediately send off a demand for peace, which will, of course, have a 100% chance of success. So we're going to queue up a humiliation of Japan. Then we're just going to steal a couple of provinces down here, like Bungo. Everyone likes Bungo. All right, so bam, that is the war immediately over. Huzzah! I love a good war like that. And I need to get myself just a little bit more prestige. So let's try and take on some debt. Dearest Yuan, here's 700 gold for 1.37 prestige. And now we're just less than 2 prestige away from being able to become a kingdom. All right, who can we take on the debt of? Chumin and get 0 prestige. The Republic of Izu and get genuinely nothing. Or this guy and also get genuinely nothing. Oh dear, we really do have to wait for some nation to get a huge amount of debt. Please, game, we're so close. Right, okay, I think I've finally found the solution. I basically just picked a random tribe that happened to be inside of my lands and realized that I didn't have a truce with them. So I've declared a no CB war against the Tokuno clan, which summons in every single other nation. And of course, by summoning in Japan, I immediately have 100% war score. So this means I can now pursue a peace deal whereby I humiliate this random tribe and steal yet more land from Japan. Meanwhile, of course, all the clans are currently going absolutely mental around the island, which is perfectly fine, and we're just largely going to ignore all of their antics and whatever they're getting up to. Alright, and so we can now peace out, and huzzah, there we go. That is now 50 prestige lined up, meaning we can upgrade to become, yes, a kingdom. Huzzah! Oh, this is great. We're the Pirate Confederacy of the Satsunan Islands, and we are glorious. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I think in 1382, it's time for us to end today's video. We have done absolutely fantastically well. By existing entirely on islands, we can become completely unstoppable. And whenever I need any money, I can just go over and request another wacko sponsorship, meaning that all of this lovely occupied land will also be generating a ridiculous amount of revenue, the likes of which this game can't comprehend. Anyway, thank you very much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want...
Also das war schon sehr beeindruckend wieder, wie er diese Exploits findet, ne? Das ist insane. Wie viel Kohle er gemacht hat. Crazy. Wirklich crazy, ey.